What's going on, everybody? You guys know I love the Total Gym. I love these Sliding Bench training devices. I've been using them pretty much exclusively from all my resistance training needs and just, I would say, training needs. But recently, I have to admit, I've been starting to incorporate more squats and just free weight lower body exercises into my routine throughout the week. And I mentioned in previous videos that since I started working out at home exclusively, my legs have been taking a back seat to my upper body. I just wasn't putting nearly as much effort into there, or I'd be incorporating a little more cardio than I was used to. But I really don't think I really addressed the problem as to why this was the case as far as me doing more upper body versus lower body and really just kind of neglecting the legs as much as I used to. And as I started to kind of reflect on that and just being kind of honest with myself, I started coming to the realization that I think I just don't prefer working my lower body on the Total Gym compared to my upper body. So in this video, I'll kind of talk about some of these issues about working the legs on a Total Gym, at least for me personally, and then I'll talk about some important concepts to kind of keep in mind that I think you guys can apply to any program or device that's out there to kind of keep you accountable and adhere to whatever it is you guys are trying to adhere to. Now, right up front, I think one big reason I didn't do as much leg stuff compared to upper body stuff is that honestly, my legs just respond pretty easily, and I just feel like they were kind of big and strong enough that I wanted them at the time when I started working out at home. If I just do pretty much anything with my legs can kind of blow up, my thighs especially, and my butt can get kind of bigger than I necessarily want them to. And that's something you guys can kind of maybe take home and maybe apply to your guys' own training, that, you know, if you have some weak spots versus spots that respond really well, or even some areas that you just feel like you don't want to build up anymore, you know, obviously, you know, you can give and take and do a little bit more or less in certain areas, but don't feel like you have to do like all this extra work to compensate or make up for what you did in the previous workout in another body part. Since I've gotten some more extra free weights that I use both on my Total Gym and my squat rack, I started to stack on a little more weight, so like 225, something that used to previously feel really, you know, easy for me and I could do tons of reps and sets at, started to feel a little bit heavier. So no, I didn't like that. I mean, but the good news was the strength started to come back even after a couple sessions. And when I used to go to the gym, for sure, I used to do leg presses and single joint isolated leg exercises, but I've always been partial just to doing a variety of squats, from like front squats, back squats, from high bar to low bar squatting, a variety of even obviously deadlifts, but good morning, traditionally a lot of barbell stuff, but even free weights, dumbbell stuff as well. I just found the most efficient and simplistic way for me to work my legs was always just kind of going into the squat rack though in general. And I just kind of preferred that. I preferred the simplicity and I just preferred, you know, the output I got out of that instead of mixing around doing a bunch of different stuff. For sure, don't get me wrong about a Total Gym in its ability to actually train and work the legs in a number of progressive ways, from resistance bands, external weight, tons of different variety of exercises you guys can do in different body parts. You can isolate from the quads, hamstrings, calves, a lot of multi-joint stuff you can do as well. I featured that a lot in this channel. And so yes, while there's tons of different variety of ways to stress and work the legs on these machines, I just kind of found that one, I feel like I needed a little bit more stress to kind of get something out of it, or at least that I kind of preferred, that would make me kind of enjoy it. And then two, you definitely can add weights and external bands and stuff like that. But I actually started feeling like, well, if I'm already kind of doing that and mimicking this multi-joint exercise, you know, I got this squat rack looking at me right here. I got the barbells and I got these extra free weights. It just kind of makes sense for me to gravitate to my bread and butter, you know, squatting related exercises that I think always worked for me in the past. But I know that's not everybody. A lot of you guys write to me and say, you know, you can't do squats, you can't do as much deadlifts, you got like hip and knee issues, and you just kind of prefer the Total Gym. You like the simplicity of doing it. It's really easy to kind of do these multi-joint leg exercises. And for a lot of you guys, the stress enough that the Total Gym provides is adequate that you guys feel like it gives you guys a good enough workout. And I would say if this is you guys, definitely don't change anything. You know, there's a lot of people out there, and everyone kind of knows this, people kind of neglect working their lower body at all. So if the Total Gym makes you kind of work your lower body and makes you kind of stress it in a unique variety of ways you guys find interesting, but you're already in the minority of one, just being consistently exercising, and two, you're in a greater minority of someone who's actually working your lower body through resistance training through any kind of means. But if you are someone like me and there's something in the Total Gym that you feel like really isn't clicking for you, and definitely if you have the means to go do it, and especially if you got the equipment looking at you right in the face, definitely jump off the machine and go ahead and do that. But if you also are kind of searching for some unique ways, maybe you're saying like, you know, my upper body, my chest, my back isn't working out, but especially my legs, you feel like, you know, the legs aren't necessarily clicking, nothing's really growing. I don't necessarily like all these exercises. You know, here's some simple solutions you guys can kind of think of, and I definitely encourage you guys to do, and don't feel like you have to be a total purist on using these machines primarily. The first thing I would say is just go join a gym. That seems kind of obvious, but you know, most people would say like, you know, they don't want to join a gym because that's why they bought the Total Gym in the first place, and I totally understand that and get that. But if you're finding there's some body part that is lacking, or you just kind of miss a certain exercise, it might be worth to find some sort of cheap, gym membership that maybe once in a while you can actually go and kind of target and hit that body part, adequately. Again, most importantly in the sense that you actually are enjoying it and actually getting results from it. The second option, which I think works adequately really for me, if you're someone who just wants to stress your legs, you're not looking to like break any records, not trying to break any PRs, I should say, this like relatively inexpensive squat rack with the barbell and the plates, really this is perfect for me. I probably will add another pair of 45 pounds of that, but honestly, me playing around with 315 feels really comfortable. It's always kind of been a comfortable weight for me to play at, but my point is I can get all the things I need in this relatively inexpensive and also pretty small, good footprint piece of exercise equipment that's not going to break the bank and really complements the Total Gym anyways. And a third option for people that might have, like, let's say bad knees, joints, maybe they're bad back or something like that, and they kind of avoid doing a lot of leg stuff because it aggravates that. Trying some body weight stuff, trying some unique ways to kind of stress ranges of motion, using some basic calisthenics, TRX straps or some suspension trainers onto like a relatively inexpensive squat rack like this would also be good. But the point is, yeah, if you feel like that might give you a little more benefit and you can kind of challenge a little more from the Total Gym, that's another option, at least something you can actually supplement with the Total Gym as well. And so I definitely promote the Total Gym for its all-encompassing ways to train the body. I in no ways would I encourage you guys to be a Total Gym purist. If you find like maybe a particular exercise or body part isn't as interesting, can't get worked as well on these machines, or like I said, it's just not as fun and engaging for you guys, then I would definitely say, recommend some of these other options I put forth to you guys, because a lot of these things, especially just adding one or two extra things, can make a big difference. And most importantly, it's going to keep you accountable. If you're enjoying the exercise, you're feeling that tension and stress in the muscles, the odds are you're going to be seeing results, and all those things together are going to build on exercise adherence and consistency, which are some of the most important things you guys can have in your exercise journey and just progress in general. And I've pretty much always taken this approach. Now, yes, I love the Total Gym, kind of fell in love with this stuff working out at home, but I never would be using this stuff if I thought it was kind of a grind or I didn't like it. I would not be touching this thing at all. That's one of the biggest things I think has kept me kind of staying consistent in my training and really never even missing a week of working out, is because I never viewed exercise as something as a chore. It was always kind of fun. Yes, I kind of made it habitual into my weekend lifestyle, and really, honestly, my career turned it into, like, as far as my lifestyle, into a career. The point is, I try to always make it fun and interesting. So if it's not fun and interesting, odds are you're not going to stick with it, and that's always the recipe for success. So I definitely want to hear your guys' thoughts. If there's a particular body part you think doesn't get worked as well, definitely comment. And also I want to know what was your solution to that? How did you kind of circumvent something that was generally a weak spot on this machine that you incorporated it elsewhere? So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.